All right.
All right, joining us now on Inside TBT, college basketball analyst and TBT genius for ESPN, Fran Fraschilla. Fran, welcome to the show. It's an honor and privilege to have you on.
Well, you can see this big smile I got, guys. I'm pumped up, man. I've had a great week here. We're quarantined in Indianapolis. I'm in a coronavirus incubator in this hotel, the Sheraton. But we're managing to stay safe and following the tournament, obviously, from our production studio at Raycom Tupelo, and it has been an absolute blast. It really has.
Coach, and we've talked about this already. I'm going to call you Coach because you were a coach for Ohio State. Obviously, I was a player, so
Yep.
I can't help but call you Coach. But obviously, we're excited to have you on, and we know that you're following TBT as closely as anyone is. Does the championship matchup tomorrow surprise you?
No. A couple of weeks ago when we did a podcast, I think a Zoom call for TBT with Chris Voster's hosting it, me, Scarborough, Dockich, and Greenberg. I sang the praises of sideline cancer. You got to remember, Joey, I was in Wichita last year when these guys knocked off the Shocker alumni team in front of 7,000 people. And I think they're even better this year. Not only, are Marcus Keene and Mo Creek and Remy Abel playing at a high level, but Jamel Artis was a great college player, 15 games with the Orlando Magic. And Eric Thomas is a good player too. They are a good team, really well coached too. Charlie Parker does a great job with those guys. All you got to do is listen to that timeout huddle. Not surprised. And then, of course, Golden Eagles, they keep climbing that TBT mountain. And it's the first time we've ever had a team get to the championship 2 years in a row, except for overseas elite, of course. So it's a big game. It's a big game for the Golden Eagles. A lot of pressure on them too, because they want to win that money and win that championship finally.
Fran, so we definitely want to hear who you think is going to, pull it off tomorrow, win the whole thing. But in my opinion, I think the Golden Eagles have looked kind of bored, almost as if they expected to be in the championship, and anything short of that would just not be acceptable. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, Andrew, I am not picking a winner tomorrow night. Okay, I'm broadcasting the game. I'm not going to put myself out there like that. I'll give you everything, but who I think is going to win.
All right.
I think they've kind of been businesslike. I wouldn't say bored. I would just say workmanlike. You can't come into this tournament bored because it's not a best of 3 or best of 5. It's one and done, just like the NCAA tournament. So I think they pretty much have kind of handled their business. I would say this about them. They don't rely on one guy to get 25 every night. Right now they've got 3 guys that are going to get you 50 points every night between Wilson, Dwight Bikes, and DJO. And then you got Elgin Cook, you got Mo Acker, you got Luke Fisher, the kid Williams from Minnesota State is a Milwaukee kid, Jarvis Williams. These guys are all contributing. Tell you how good they are. Andrew Rowsey averaged 19 points a game in the G League, and he's having trouble getting, some minutes. So I just think they've been workmanlike.
It's so funny you mentioned Andrew Rowsey just because I took him in my FanDuel lineup the first day thinking he's at least good for a couple threes, and then he just didn't even touch the court. So that's a whole different story. I think the reason Andrew Zolden, asked that question is because when we interview teams that win after every game, every team has had a lot of fun with us, except for the Golden Eagles. It's just business as usual.
They're locked in.
Yeah, they don't laugh at the questions we ask them.
Well, you got to think about it. First of all, I think Andrew Rowsey might be banged up just the way, Travis Diener's nursing a calf. But to you guys' point, think about it. Quarterfinals, round of 8, semifinals. I think they got beat by overseas elite 2 years ago last year. Heartbreaking game in the championship in Chicago to, Carmen's crew, which, by the way, when I think of tomorrow night's game, what I always love about the championship game of this tournament is every possession of tomorrow night's game will be treated like it's life and death. Now, we know it's not. There's more important things going on in our world right now. But for that 36 minutes, these two teams will play like it's life or death. That's what I remember most about last year's game. Guys diving on the floor, playing like their life depended on it. And so I think it's a business-like approach, Andrew. Give them some slack, cut them some slack. But I think you're going to see them come out with a lot of energy tomorrow night.
So most likely after tomorrow, the MVP of the tournament will be named from one of these two teams.
Right.
Curious who you think the MVP would be for each team.
Okay, so first of all, I think that obviously if Sideline Cancer wins, it would be hard to think that they could do it without a great game from Marcus Keene, who's just been spectacular. 30 points a game his junior year at Central Michigan, and he's picked up where he left off. He's only 25 years old, guys, so he's still he's still got some, opportunity to make a lot of money. If it was a really close game and he plays great, I could almost see him getting the MVP, even if they lose. But I think that if the Golden Eagles win, it'll probably because it's hard to say this, but I think consistently it's been DJO and Jamil Wilson. But keep in mind, Dwight Bikes dropped 34 on these guys last year in Wichita. So I would probably, because Dwight's a little bit below those two guys in terms of scoring overall, I'd say Jamil Wilson, who, by the way, has 5 Elam ending winners. See, Joey, I told you I bring my good stuff here.
That's what we need. That's
I know.
why we asked God.
and DJO has been spectacular when he needed to be so far. But this is a balanced team.
I think Jamil Wilson is the most underrated player in the entire tournament. I mean, because Marquette is their guards are just so incredibly great all around, but even guys on the bench. I mean, we've talked about it.
Right.
He's the all-time leading three-point shooter in TBT history.
Yeah.
And I just think he doesn't get enough love. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, no, listen, he's I think with him, he can play inside, he can shoot the three, he gives them some toughness because they're not a big team really, but I get it. And guys like me, you know what, my job is to pump everybody up and talk about DJO and Dwight Bikes, 2 former JUCO first-team All-Americans, 2 guys that were teammates for 2 years. And Jamil, but he's been consistently good the whole time he's played TBT.
So there's really good players on both teams, obviously, but we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't talk about the tournament in its entirety with you. And I want to start with this. So we made a prediction ourselves a couple weeks back. Yeah. We said Heard That is coming for blood, and they are not backing down. What did you think of Heard That?
The beauty of the TBT, to answer your question in long-winded way, because that's what I do, the beauty of TBT is that you got guys playing in this tournament that don't really care whether they're going up against Joe Johnson or Dwight Bikes, who played in the NBA, or anybody who was a great player in the G League, and Heard That what those guys did at Marshall, and also having Chris Coakley, who's really good, and Ja'Cory Williams, another really good college player, both of those guys. It's the beauty of the TBT. These guys just keep playing ball after college, and these guys are some of the best. Here's how I put it, okay? Now, not Ott Elmore. Let's take Ott Elmore out of this because he's really a YMCA guy, okay? Joey would love to have him on a pickup team, but the other guys, John Elmore played in Italy last year. Ja'Cory Williams, playing high level. Chris Coakley, G League, wherever. If you take away – think about this now. This is deep. Joey, this is deep. You don't get this you didn't get this at Ohio State when you were taking a philosophy class, But there's 6 billion people on the planet. 450 of the best 550 players in the world are in the NBA, right? Then you have some of the international guys that are playing in Europe. But the rest of in this TBT, you got some of the best among the best 2,000 players in the entire world of a planet of 6 billion. The Marcus Keens, the DJ Kennedys when he played. All these guys are really good players playing around the world. So the level of play is so good. So, no, I'm not surprised. Heard That, brought it because they had some good players on that team and they played fearlessly.
So I love that you brought up best players in the world because you love talking about the EuroLeague and how the EuroLeague is the second best league in the world.
Right.
So I've argued with my friends about this. So I want to ask you this one non-TBT question. This is what I always say.
Yeah.
I always say best league in the world, obviously the NBA.
Right.
Second best league in the world, the EuroLeague. but I think the second best players are in college basketball. Now that's looking like it's going to start changing, but I think like the Zion Williamsons and the Jason Tatums when they're in college are the second best players in the world. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. You named a guy who was the number 1 pick, and then a guy that was the number 3 pick in the draft, and the guy that was taken number 3 really should have gone number 1, Jason Tatum, right? So I would tell you, and I'm going to set you straight now, Andrew.
I love it. I love it.
That when you're watching a Ohio State Michigan game or a Kansas Iowa State game or Duke Carolina even, you're watching AA baseball compared to the NBA being the major leagues. These are young players who are really talented, who some of them someday, the guys you mentioned, for example, are going to be elite players. But in the Euro League and in the Spanish ACB League, I'll give you a great example. A couple of years ago, I checked, and it may be true this year. The Euro League, 25% of that league were guys that were drafted in the NBA or played in the NBA. And there are guys in the Euro League that can play in the NBA, just haven't come over yet. Except for Zion or Jason Tatum, you could take a good player. Like, I'm just trying to think of somebody that played in college this year. Devon Dotson from Kansas, okay? He would be a backup on a really good EuroLeague team. I mean, Brandon Jennings, who was a number 1 pick back in the day, a few years ago, he couldn't even play on his Italian league team. He was too inexperienced. So anyway, that's what's great about watching all these guys who play TBT. They leave college after you and I watched them play. Joey played against some of these guys played, and then with them. How about? I mean, Aaron Kraft is better now than he was 8 years ago.
I can't believe how good he got in pickup games. He was the best player. I mean, Sully was out there, Evan Turner's out there.
Yeah.
He was the best player in those games.
I think you could put Aaron Kraft. I know he's getting ready to retire. I hope I never have knee surgery because I hate to have to call on him someday. But I think you could have put Aaron Kraft in an NBA game right now. And yeah, is his shooting an issue? Yes. But like, to me, and I say this respectfully, he's as good as TJ McConnell, who plays for the Pacers. And I love TJ.
Absolutely.
We got another one for you. We're Bulls fans. Ryan Arcidiacono. I think he's just as good as Ryan Arcidiacono.
I think so. Now, the difference is both of those guys shoot it a little better.
Yeah.
But, man, Aaron Kraft, he causes havoc. And here's my point. David Lighty, William Buford, Aaron Kraft, they're all better than they were when they were in college. And I can say that about like Marcus Keene and 100 other guys that have been in this tournament. So the point is, they go to Europe and they become professional players, and they come back to TBT. And my big thing is when I do a college game during the season, there's games where even the Buckeyes will play Michigan State. Nobody makes a shot for 10 minutes. That doesn't happen as much in TBT. These guys are all shot makers now. William Buford, am I right, Joey? He's a shot maker.
I mean, the fact that dude didn't play in the NBA out of college is beyond me. I think the list of Ohio State greats, and they're all 4-year greats, that didn't get a chance is so crazy. That's my favorite thing to talk to Coach Mata about is his unbiased, frankly, opinion of, number one, Aaron Kraft, how he never got a chance to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. But my favorite thing to ask him is how in the world did Aaron Kraft not get a chance in the NBA? And he goes, you know what? I called his agent yesterday. This was a year and a half ago when LeBron first joined the Lakers. He said, tell me Aaron Kraft's not a perfect fit for the Lakers. He doesn't care about any individual success, and he doesn't need to shoot at all. So
he would have been Rondo without the head case.
Exactly. In fact, the opposite,
Anti-Rondo. Seriously, man. But that's the beauty of TBT. We get to watch these guys again.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And that brings me, that's a great transition. You're a pro. To my next question, which is what have been your favorite storylines from this year? I mean, my favorite one is a toss-up. Aaron Kraft's my favorite player ever. I grew up him it being his last game, which it's not, but him saying it's his last games, that was my favorite thing going into the TBT. What were some of your favorites?
First of all, I think he's going to play in next year's TBT.
No doubt.
I mean, listen, he's going to be burnt out from taking, cutting up frogs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Whatever they do in medical school, cadavers, I don't know. That would be scary. But I have a feeling he's going to play next year, assuming there's a Carmen's crew. So anytime you watch Aaron Kraft play, it's a highlight. I love sideline cancer. This is an amazing story. 7 straight TBTs. The coach is a really good coach who played in the first 3, coached in the last 4. The story behind sideline cancer and the Griffin Family Foundation, amazing. And they're really good, and they're a freaking 22 seed. All right. This is like VCU or Butler going to the final championship game. So I'm excited about that. Golden Eagles, man, guys I've been watching forever because I was in Tom Crean's wedding, me and Tom Izzo, by the way. And so I've been watching these guys forever, trying to get over the hump. That's been cool. Joe Johnson, checking his ego at the door. Humble guy. Hall of Famer, trust me, Lock City.
Yeah, you mentioned that a couple times on the broadcast.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a crime. He'll get in. So that's a cool story. The fact that the guy humbled himself, and then he loses the game and he takes a picture with the sideline cancer.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I mean, that's the ultimate. The thing I love about TBT is, and I was a schoolyard guy. I played millions of hours of basketball growing up in New York. But the beauty of TBT is, you play in whether it's the Ohio State Rec Center, Joey, or a pickup game in Chicago or Brooklyn, you play to 21 or 11, depending on how many guys are waiting to come on. And that's what TBT is with the Elam ending. You play to a target score. And I know there were days when I was growing up where there were 5 teams waiting. So we did everything we could to win that game and get to 21 so that we could hold on to the court. And that's what TBT is, man. These guys are playing for the love of the game. And the biggest overall storyline has got to be John Mugar, the TBT staff, the people at the Columbus Hyatt, Nationwide Arena, and Johns Hopkins University, and the players and coaches for being able to do what they had to do to stay healthy and play this tournament. And we did it.
I agree. I think that's a fantastic point. And I think one of the untold stories of TBT 2020 will go down as this.
Yeah.
What would have happened with Eberline Drive in an alternate world? Because I had them beating the Golden Eagles and going to the Final Four. So I'm curious what you think they potentially could have done.
They had a really good backcourt. They had 2 guys, Josh Majette, who played in the NBA for the Atlanta Hawks, and Dusty Hanners, who I think was called up this year by the Grizzlies. And they were the two of the best guards in the G League. And, borderline NBA guys, I think they would have been really dangerous. That was a heartbreaking situation for them. And it's just such great guys, Jacob and Matt Mitchell and all those guys who they pick up every year. That would have been great. Hey, one more unsung hero I got to mention, Jen Hale from our coverage.
Absolutely.
She's been unbelievable that she's been able to, handle the bubble and not go stir crazy. I don't know what she's doing when she gets back to New Orleans on Wednesday, but she's probably going down to the French Quarter and celebrate. With a mask, socially distancing,
Before we let you go, last question from me. We ask all our guests the very last question, the same one, but the last TBT question will be quickly, since maybe 2 sentences. What does each team need to do to win tomorrow night?
Okay, good question.
Thank you.
Sideline cancer cannot give up a lot of threes. This is a team that can just rain threes on you. They did it last year in Wichita to sideline cancer. That's the first thing. And then I think for the Golden Eagles, who I think are the slightly better team on paper, they got to bring effort and intensity on the defensive end, whether they're making shots or not. They can't get tight. They got to win this game with their defense. If they make 15 threes, this could be an ugly game. I don't think they will. So I think they got to come focused defensively.
I've got 2 good sayings for you to say on the air tomorrow.
I'm ready.
First one, Mo Creek, Mo Money.
I like it. I might be able to work that in.
That's a quick one. He hits a 3. Oh, Mo Creek, Mo Money.
I'm writing that down.
We've been saying to them after every interview because we talked them for 5 minutes after the game and we've been saying Mo Creek, Mo Money, and they just love it. Which that's
Great
all
guy.
Andrew though. That's all.
And I got one more for you that I just came up with.
I'm not going anywhere. No.
Well, I got one that might be better. All right.
Go ahead.
If Travis Diener makes a couple threes, okay, you say Travis Diener. I call him TD Ameritrade because I got stock in that guy.
Oh, that's pretty good. You guys are good, man. Do you guys know my friend John Rothstein at all? Because he's just very similar.
Yeah, that would. We had a weird loop with him where I emailed him and asked him to come on the show, our other show, and he didn't email me back. But then right after I emailed him, he followed Joey on Instagram. So it was like a weird chase around trying to get him.
I just talked to him an hour ago. I said, yeah, John Mugar has done a great job with this. He said, who's John Mugar? I'm like, where you been, man? You've been under a rock. Are you trying to get the Bryant Quinnipiac's game on figure out what day they're scheduling it so we can put it on Twitter? What have you been doing for the last month? Like, aren't you?
I do love when he goes, St. Joseph's transfer Joe Smith has committed to Quinnipiac.
Oh, that's
Sip one, play three.
My favorite line of his is, don't speculate on speculation. So, but I'm ready, guys. You can tell I'm not going to sleep well tonight because I'm wired.
What's so cool is I can talk about John Rothstein all night because the one time I met him, Coach Schragi introduced me to him when we were playing in New York.
Yeah.
Because he knew I loved him.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of him. You know what I mean. And so
he loves the game. He loves the game like we do.
Exactly. And so when I went up to him, Coach Schragi introduced me as, this is Joey Lane. He has a better idea for a saying for Coach Holtman, which I did not.
Yeah.
And so I was put on the spot, and I go, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't have one. And he goes, all right, guys, take it easy, and just left. And I was like, that's my John Rothstein interaction? Like, I've waited my whole life for this.
You blew it, man. You blew it. You didn't come ready. You had to have something in your head.
Yeah, because more meticulous than a forensic officer is just not. It's just not that good. He's got so much better ones.
TD Ameritrade is better than that.
That works.
100%.
Well, I think I could work that in. I will not be shy. I will not be shameless about using it too.
You don't even need to plug it because we'll know. That's if you plug it, I'll be upset because I'd rather it just be our little inside thing.
I like it. I'm good with that. Mo Creek, Mo Money is a good one. What I need one for Marcus Keene.
Hot Boy. We call him Hot.
We call him Hot Boy. If you want to throw that in there.
Man, I don't know. I could get fired for something like that.
Well, what we do say about him is we ask him how much longer he'll be able to average more than his age. So you can use that one.
That's a good one.
We also ask whoever's in the interview with him.
Yeah.
We ask them, we say, hey, Eric Thompson, for example. We go, hey, Eric, did you know that Marcus led the country in scoring one year when he was in college?
What do those guys say? Do they know? Because we say
they go, yeah, of course we know, because that's the only thing that people talk about.
I think that when he's 59 years old, someone's going to go, hey, this is Marcus Keene. Did you know he once led the country in scoring?
Exactly.
Part of his name, his middle name. Marcus, he led the country in scoring. Keene. By the way, I dropped a nugget for you guys the other day. Did you know that he played high school basketball with Torian Prince of the Brooklyn Nets? And Torian signed with LIU. Marcus signed at Youngstown State.
Right.
Torian's in the NBA because he went to Baylor later when the coach left. And Marcus Keene is going to make buku money playing in Europe someday.
That's quite a high school team.
He said he was talking to some coach. We interviewed him right before this, and he said that he was talking to a couple coaches. So we told him that it is our mission. We will get him into the NBA.
I talked to a GM today who keeping an eye on him. Just a little nugget there.
Will you tell us off the record which team it was?
I'm going to give you a hint. It was a team that he played summer league basketball for back
Memphis.
Well, that's not one of them.
Okay. All right.
You have to go do your homework.
All right, Fran, before we let you go, we're kind of already gotten into this. We always ask our guests one question.
Go ahead.
Do you have any questions for us?
Why do you guys love TBT so much?
You want to go, Andrew, first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I got a couple answers. All
Yeah.
right, number one. So I grew up an Ohio State fan.
Yep.
As well as Joey. I did not have the privilege of going to play there.
Yeah.
But I grew up an Ohio State fan, so getting to watch those guys again is so exciting. But then also, normally it's the summer basketball to watch.
Right.
And it makes basketball a year-round sport, and it's exciting to watch in the summer. Obviously, a little different this year. So I'll give you my answer for this year, which is the answer that most people want to hear. It's the Elam ending. It is so cool. It is so exciting. And if you don't like TBT or you don't like the Elam ending, watch the Sideline Cancer Overseas Elite game, because that is what TBT and the Elam ending is all about.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, for me, I kind of got into it years ago, like year 2 or 3, when Dan Friel asked a young Joey Lane to help make an Ohio State team. And I had no pull to do that. I could not do that. I tried. Couldn't do it.
My son James tried to do it at Oklahoma, by the way.
There you go. So
tried to do it. Yep.
They know who to ask. You know?
Exactly.
So if you would have asked me my sophomore year, I would have been able to help. But as a freshman, I first of all was so scared that it would like jeopardize my eligibility. Like I was so freaked out about that. But
I can see
I put it in good hands. Scooney got it ready to go.
I can see Coach Mata going, "What the hell are you doing, man? You trying to get us all on probation?"
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean $2 million? $1 million?
Right. You don't. Yeah. I remember like my friends would be like, "So you're talking about the TBT? Like, are you going to take any money?" I'm like, "No, I'm worried about passing my calculus exam tomorrow. Like, I'm not."
Yeah. Well, No,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say this because I know. Last thing, Bob Rathman and I, who I love working with, man, he loves this tournament like I do. Our biggest goal tomorrow night is we know we're going to have the real TBT junkies watching, but because the NBA hasn't started yet, when we come on the air tomorrow night, we have to tell the casual fan who might be tuning in for the first time, hey, if you haven't been paying the TBT this year or the last 7, here's why you should watch tonight.
Do you think that the 2 teams that are in it this year in the championship are a good display for people who are maybe watching their first TBT game tomorrow?
Well, obviously, if we had, let's say, Carmen's Crew Marquette rematch, more people would know who the guys are. Or Overseas Elite versus Marquette, right, which is, Joe Johnson versus DJO. But I think people will still tune in because when we come on the air, we're going to tell them, you know the Marquette guys, but let me tell you about Sideline Cancer. This is the best story in the TBT. But we have to also explain John Mugar, what it took to put this tournament on this year with the coronavirus. So we got a lot of things that we have to get in early. And then hopefully both teams will play great basketball, which they're capable of doing. It's that simple.
Absolutely. I mean, the TBT is just the poster child for exactly what we've talked about. The dudes that are playing in it want to play in it, and they love basketball. So if anything to take away from the TBT in general, you're watching guys like there are NBA guys. I say this all the time. There's a list of guys in the NBA that I think are just out there. They don't love they love the money and they love basketball and they love the idea of it, but they don't love it the way Marcus Keaton loves it. So I think that you're getting the cream of the crop in terms of the love for basketball because they're playing in their off season. So. Yes. I just think that the TBT is the greatest, first and foremost, for that reason.
I'm with you guys. And that's why Joe Johnson played. Love it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Future Hall of Famer, Joe Johnson.
First future Hall of Famer to play in TBT. Yeah.
I like it.
And didn't win it.
And didn't win it because that's the best part about the TBT is who cares if you played in the NBA? That doesn't mean you're going to win.
Odd Elmore's talking shit right now.
Yeah, we know that. Don't worry.
I wonder if Odd Elmore has a beer named after him, a milkshake named after him, or a cheeseburger named after him back home.
All of the above. All of the above.
Fran, that was our question in the post-game interview that went viral, right?
What was that? Tell me. I missed it.
When we said we said what trash talking was going on, and that's when he said those guys play in the NBA, I play at the Y.
Oh yeah.
We made our ESPN debut because of that.
I love it. Deservedly so, I would say, based on what you guys have done for the tournament. So it's really cool being on with you guys.
Oh, well, we appreciate that. And we look forward to you bringing us into the broadcast tomorrow. I think you mentioned something about that, right?
Yeah, you saved the best for last. So I'm like Mariano Rivera, you know. I'm the Elam ending closer for you guys. I'm Jamil Wilson.
Fran Elam. That's
Happy
what they
to
call
get
him.
Fran Elam. Tell Greenberg that one. Fran Elam. I'm with you. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Fran.
Thanks for coming on, Coach.
You're welcome.